If your emotions can be triggered by a look, a comment, or a social media post, then congratulations, you're not in control of your life. You're being controlled, not by society, not by others, but by your own weakness. A real man doesn't react like a sulking child. He doesn't need anyone to understand his feelings. He understands himself, and he controls every reaction. If you still believe you're just an emotional person, this video will piss you off. But if you're sick of being dragged around by your emotions like a puppet, this is exactly what you need. Keep watching, because here are 5 silent rules no one talks about, but every real man lives by. What you're about to hear next could change the way you see your entire life. Hit subscribe, like, and stay with me, because the final minutes will be the most important. If there's one lie quietly ruining the inner strength of millions of men, it's this: I can't control how I feel. A sweet excuse dressed up to sound human and forgivable, but in reality it's a pair of golden handcuffs that locks them into victimhood. The moment you believe emotions just happen to you, instead of being created by you, you've thrown away the only real power you have, the power to control yourself. You don't get angry because someone hurt you. You get angry because you allowed it to land. You don't feel insulted because someone's words were too harsh. You feel insulted because you chose to believe you're too weak to take them. Every emotion you feel, sadness, insecurity, envy, shame, doesn't fall out of the sky. It comes from how you interpret what happens around you. And if you created that interpretation, then you can change it. This isn't gentle advice. It's a wake-up slap. Because if you truly want to be strong, you have to stop blaming your circumstances, your parents, your wife, your asshole boss, or your painful past. Your emotions are the direct result of how you respond to life. No one else owns that responsibility but you. Stoicism doesn't teach you to bottle up your emotions like stuffing them into a box. It teaches you to rebuild your perspective, to see the world through a clear lens, so that emotions don't need to be suppressed. They simply stop running the show. When Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't trying to soothe anyone. He was talking about deliberate choice. You can respond with calm or with chaos. Either way, you live with what you chose. Sure, there will be moments when you feel like a flame battered by the wind. But the wind doesn't make the flame wild. It just reveals what the fire really is. Just like people don't make you mad, they only expose the weakness you haven't dealt with yet. And that's the moment you need to be honest. You're not as solid as you think. How do you take back control? First, accept the truth that negative emotions aren't your enemy. They're mirrors. Anger shows where you're attached. Sadness shows where you're expecting. Jealousy shows where you haven't owned your worth. No emotion is wrong, but you better be sharp enough not to let them drive. Emotions are passengers, not drivers. Then start practicing one thing with ruthless discipline. Whenever a negative emotion rises, don't react. Don't speak. Don't message. Don't do anything. Pause. Watch it from the outside. Ask yourself, what am I believing right now that's making me feel this way? The answer will usually hit like a punch. You'll see you've been living under weak, emotional, delusional beliefs. And those beliefs, not other people, are what's wrecking your peace. No one forces you to react like a fool. That's a choice, and like any choice, it can be replaced. The real question is, do you want to? Do you have the guts? The discipline? Because mastering your emotions isn't a mood, it's a lifestyle. Doing it once is easy. Doing it for a lifetime, that's real strength. As you grow, you'll realize a hard truth. The less you react, the stronger you are. A solid man isn't numb. He's the one who can feel the wave rising inside and say, "It's all right, you don't control me." And when you can do that, the world doesn't change. You change. And that's when you finally start living like a man who knows exactly who he is and exactly what's worth his energy. Modern men have picked up a dangerous habit. They talk too much about how they feel and far too little about what they actually see. They react with words, with tone, with expressions, instead of observing. They spill emotions like a 5-year-old with no filter, and then they wonder why their life is a mess. why people don't respect them, and why they themselves are spiraling out of control. Take a look at yourself. How many times a day do you react before you think? How many times do you open your mouth just to expose your lack of self-control? How many times do you speak just because you can't handle silence? People who talk too much are usually the ones who never learned how to sit with themselves. And that's the problem. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved and the raging of the sea still falls around it." But how are you supposed to be that if every time someone pokes your fragile ego, you react like a dog that just got its tail stepped on? Impulsiveness isn't instinct. It's a habit bred from inner laziness. You don't observe. You don't wait. You never learned how to stay still. A strong man doesn't control others. He controls himself, especially his mouth. You don't need to voice every little thing you dislike. There are no medals for who reacts fastest in a pointless argument. The more you feel the urge to speak up, the more likely it is that you're losing control. A disciplined man knows silence is a weapon, not an escape, but a tool to wait for the right moment. The problem is this society trains you in reverse. From a young age, you're taught that if you don't talk, don't share, don't react, you're suppressing your emotions. But no one teaches you how to observe emotions as tools for self-learning. No one teaches you that sometimes what you need isn't to spill, it's to see, to look closely. When you feel insulted, observe, not the other person, yourself. What inside you feels threatened? Your pride, your ego, your fake sense of superiority? That observation will reveal the truth. You're not angry at reality, you're angry at an expectation that just got shattered. And that expectation is often built on fiction. A distant wife doesn't hurt you. It's your expectation that she should always understand you, always be soft, always go along with you. That's what's wrecking you. A comment from your boss doesn't kill your mood. It's your belief that your value depends on other people's recognition that's shaking you. You won't see this if your mouth always fires off before your mind has a chance to observe. Silence, for someone who's never practiced it, feels like torture. It forces you to face your raw ego. There's no applause in silence, no validation. But that's exactly where you start to see clearly. And only when you see clearly do you earn the right to choose your response, or to not respond at all. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not everyone is worth a reply. And not everything you think needs to be said. Mouth discipline is one of the highest forms of mental discipline. You cannot have a sharp mind if your mouth always outruns your awareness. People often confuse being real with being out of control. Saying everything that comes to mind doesn't make you honest. It just proves you haven't grown up. Honesty isn't dumping every passing feeling. It's having the courage to sit with those feelings, dissect them, and only speak what's truly necessary. If you want to be the kind of man people shut up and listen to when you speak, start by learning how to shut up. Don't talk to fill silence. Don't talk to feed your ego. Don't talk because you're afraid of being forgotten. Real presence doesn't need volume. It radiates from the way you see the world without trying to dominate it. A wise man speaks little, but every word carries weight. Because behind every word is hours, days of observation, not impulse. That's what gives a man gravity. And that's exactly why the ones who talk the most are the first to be forgotten. Negative emotions are like a flood. They don't need an invitation. They don't send a warning. One small thing, a contemptuous look, a snide comment, a simple rejection, is enough to make the waters rise. And if you don't know how to close the gate, they'll sweep you away, dragging your logic, your dignity, and the respect of others with them. The problem is that most men aren't prepared for that moment. They have no response system, no handling protocol. They just react, like children. And they pay the price with late apologies, broken relationships, or worse, quiet self-disgust. But you don't have to be a helpless victim every time emotion hits. You can interrupt the flood. And the fastest, most effective way to do that doesn't lie in your head. It lies in your body. Emotions are a biological state. They're not just thoughts. They're your heart racing, your breath tightening, blood rushing to your face, your fists clenching. You can't think clearly when your body is in full alarm mode. So if you want to change your mental state, you have to start by shifting your physical one. Physical action is the emergency switch that pulls you out of the emotional spiral. Feeling angry? Walk fast for 15 minutes. No phone, no music, just go. Your body needs to move to release pressure. You'll be surprised how a simple action like that can calm the internal storm. Feeling anxious? Do push-ups. Tense your muscles. Scream into a pillow. Do anything that forces your body to engage. Not to escape the emotion, but to temporarily break its flow, like flipping the breaker before fixing the outlet. People often say, don't act when you're angry. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Act. Just act in the right direction. Instead of lashing out at someone, hit the weights. Instead of yelling at your wife and kids, run around the block. Instead of lying on the bed after rejection, get up and crank out 50 sit-ups. Not because those things fix the situation immediately, but because they help you restore your inner command center. You regain control of your body, and from there, your mind begins to follow. This may sound simple, but it's actually high-level training, because you're forcing yourself to act against your instincts. When you're mad, you want to destroy. When you're sad, you want to collapse. When you're anxious, you want to hide. But in those exact moments, if you can do the opposite, stand up, move, act, you're building a steel backbone. No one becomes strong by sitting around analyzing feelings. Strength is built by doing the opposite of what emotion demands. Consistently, deliberately, like a silent form of inner training. You can't wait until you're calm to act. That's a trap. Negative emotions don't just go away, they need a valve, an outlet, and if you don't give them one, they'll find their way out in the ugliest forms, through cruel words, stupid actions, or damage you can't undo. Your body is a tool, not a cage. It can be the place where emotions get trapped, or it can be the emergency exit. How you use it is up to you. But if you do nothing, if you just lie there scrolling your phone, whining, overeating like millions of men do, then don't be surprised when your emotions keep crushing you. Because you chose surrender. A man is not allowed to be a victim of his emotions, not because the world says so, but because he doesn't allow himself to be that weak. Anger comes, move. Sadness hits, move. Anxiety builds, move. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be smart. You just need to move with intent. Because every time you do, you're sending a signal to your subconscious. I'm the one behind the wheel. And when you truly become the one steering your inner world, emotions stop scaring you. Because no matter how hard they hit, you know you always have a tool at arm's reach. Your body, your actions, your will. That's what makes a man unshakable in a world gone mad. Not everyone has the patience to watch until the end, but those who do are always the ones who go further than the rest. If you're one of them, subscribe and like. We're on the same team. Most men think journaling is for women, weak, sentimental, with too much time on their hands. But if you live through emotions without ever looking back at them, then you're the weakest man in the room. Don't mistake silence for strength if all you've got inside is a chaotic mess you've never examined. You can be quiet around others, but if you can't sit down and talk to yourself, you're letting your mind rot from the inside out. Writing down your emotions isn't about dumping. It's not for self-pity, and it sure as hell isn't about playing the victim. You write to look directly into your mind, like a forensic doctor dissecting a crime scene, precise, cold, and without mercy. A journal is where you dare to be honest in a way everyday words never allow. No one's scoring you, no one's patting your back. It's just you and the truth. So why journal? Because the human mind has one nasty flaw. It loves to exaggerate. When you're angry, everything feels like a disaster. When you're sad, the world feels like it's falling apart. But when you write it down, flat, plain, emotionless, your state has to shift. You take what's chaotic in your head, put it on paper, lay it on the table, and look at it like an object. And then you realize everything I was thinking wasn't nearly as bad as it felt. Journaling also strips away false beliefs. Every time you write about a feeling, ask yourself, what am I believing right now that's making me react like this? Anger usually comes from feeling threatened. Anxiety comes from feeling out of control. Jealousy is the result of a broken value system. You can't change emotions unless you uncover their root, and there's no better way to dig than to write. One brutally honest page of journaling can do more than an hour of therapy. Not because it gives you answers, but because it gives you a mirror. And that mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't coddle you. It doesn't whisper, "Everything will be okay." It shows you exactly who you are. No polish, no excuses. A Stoic isn't someone who lacks emotion. He's someone who treats emotion like evidence. Every surge, every breakdown, every burst of rage, it's all data to study. Seneca said it clearly. We suffer not from events, but from our reactions to them. And if we never examine those reactions, we'll repeat them forever. Journaling is the tool that breaks that cycle. Of course, journaling won't turn you into a new man overnight. It's not a miracle. It's a discipline, like weight training for your mind. Every day you lift a little, a toxic thought, a fear, a flare of anger. You put it on paper, you dissect it, and you let it go. Over time, you get lighter. Not because life gets easier, but because you become less stupid in how you respond to it. Journaling teaches your mind one brutal truth. Emotions only deserve to exist when they've been examined by reason. You're no longer a creature living on instinct. You're a man who reflects, questions, and chooses. A journal won't make you a genius, but it will stop you from being the idiot who repeats the same emotional loops just because that's how I am. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to write. Write every day. Write when you feel good, to understand what's working. Write when you feel bad, to dissect what's breaking. Don't judge the words. Don't worry if it sounds good. This isn't a poetry contest. It's your mental training log. A warrior never goes to battle with a dull blade. And a real man never walks into the world without knowing what the hell is going on inside his head. You can sit there, keep living on autopilot, stepping into the same emotional traps, wondering why nothing ever changes. Or you can open a notebook, grab a pen, and start learning how to become your own master, one sentence at a time. If you keep waiting until you're ready to act, you'll be waiting your whole damn life. That's one of the most common and dangerous traps modern men set for themselves and walk straight into. They wait until they're done being sad to start training. They wait until they're confident to speak up. They wait until they feel stable to start living with discipline. But life has no signal light. No one's coming to tap your shoulder and say, "Now's the right time." It's just you. Either act now or keep drifting in self-justified delay. The nature of change isn't emotional, it's behavioral. You don't need to feel strong to start living like a strong man. You just need to act like one, consistently enough, until your mind finally gets the message, "This is who I am now." Emotion follows action, not the other way around. Here's the raw truth. You're not who you want to be because you're still acting like who you currently are. You're still reacting the same way, still procrastinating the same way, still making excuses, blaming others, avoiding truth, just like the broken version of yourself you swore you'd leave behind years ago. And worse, you think that thinking differently is enough. It's not. Mindset is just the beginning. How you act in real life every day, every hour, is what defines who the hell you really are. If you want to be disciplined, then act disciplined, even while your hands are shaking. If you want to be trustworthy, keep your word, even when no one's watching. If you want to be consistent, do what you said you would, even when you hate every second of it. You don't need to feel right. You just need to do right. That's enough. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his journal to feel better. He wrote it to remind himself how to act like an emperor, even when he felt tired, betrayed, disgusted, or hopeless. That's the power of Stoic philosophy. Action independent of emotion. Don't wait for motivation, build standards. The standard you live by becomes the man you become. If you truly want to leave the old version of yourself behind, you have to kill it with behavior. Every time you choose not to procrastinate, you're choking out the weak part of yourself. Every time you speak the truth instead of hiding, you're slicing away the coward that used to run your life. Every time you keep a promise, even in silence, you're laying another brick in the foundation of true self-respect. The kind that doesn't need applause, just the knowledge that you lived right. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent. Consistency doesn't come from feeling motivated, it comes from turning action into identity. A real man doesn't do the right thing only when it's easy or exciting. He does the right thing because it's what he committed to, because it's who he's choosing to become, day after day, no matter how he feels. Don't wait to feel confident to speak. Speak, and confidence will catch up. Don't wait for the pain to go away before you move forward. Move, and pain will lose its grip on you. Don't wait for motivation to live with discipline. Live disciplined, and motivation will find you once you're too far in to turn back. You can whine about the past, your childhood, your mistakes, or you can get up and act like the man you admire. The shadow of your past won't vanish, but you can stand so tall it stops covering you. And that height doesn't come from thinking, it comes from repeated, deliberate action until your foundation is rebuilt from the ground up. Don't act like a victim and expect to lead. Don't live like a drifter and expect respect. Don't react like a child and demand to be seen as a man. If you want to become a different kind of man, then stop acting like the old one. Every day, every decision, every behavior is a vote for the man you're becoming. And whoever you vote for, that's who you'll be. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.